Now, if you've done a great job of building credibility and you do ask them the question, would you like to get started? You're likely to run into objections and delays. Deciding to start a flight school program is a big decision, and people need to work through all of the reasons that it might not work out so that they are sure that it's a good decision. They're really comfortable with it. And one of the objections that you'll hear most likely is it's really expensive. Now, if people don't know the difference between a Toyota and a Maserati, they will probably buy the Toyota because they simply don't understand the value of what they're looking at. They don't understand what's different between these two cars. And if they're looking at two flight schools, it may be that they don't understand what's different about them. The flight school down the street might have a lower cost per hour, but it takes people a lot longer to get from their first lesson to their license, so they end up paying for twice as many hours. You want to look at the value proposition of your flight school and talk to your chief pilot or talk to your supervisor about some of the things that you can say to a client that really communicate value. Now, value is one of those things that's a little bit different from one person to the next. If somebody comes in wearing really expensive shoes, you want to talk to them about value a little bit differently than somebody who comes in wearing, very, very casual clothes, but is going to a very expensive school. The first person, may be more of a recreational type who wants to have the best of everything. And in that case, you talk about the quality of the airplanes, the fact that they are all clean. They're cleaned after each customer. They have the latest avionics, the different things that would be of value to that person. To the person that maybe is going to Harvard or something along those lines, but is wearing really inexpensive clothes, that's a person that values the opportunity and values the education. Now, that's a person that you'll want to talk to about the integrity of the school, how long it's been around, and mention you don't go to the cheapest university. Why is that? And then they'll probably tell you something about the quality of the instruction, the fact that they meet it's a great networking opportunity and other kinds of things like that. That gives you a clue as to how to talk to them about your flight school. And you want to emphasize the advantages that fit with the things that they are the most interested in. And if it turns out that the things that they value are not things that are, the best qualities of your flight school, it may be that client isn't a good fit for your school, but the next one may be. So this is kind of a difficult concept, but you want to find out what their concept of value is, and you want to make sure that you match that to the best things or the best qualities of the flight school and the program that you have. And you want to use their response in the way you answer that question. So you want to present the flight school program as a good value to that customer using whatever criteria they define as value. And, like we said, it's not always about the dollars. One program may be more expensive than another, but it's a better value because they graduate faster, or they have a better placement rate, or they have better avionics, or they have nicer airplanes, or it's in a better location. It really depends on the customer and what they value. Another objection that we run into a lot is, I don't have time. And flight instruction is something, if they start a program, you want to make sure that they're going to have time to do the program well, and not just the flight hours, but also the ground school. And so some of the things that you can say is, we all have the same amount of time. We all have the same 24 hours in every day, but we do what's important to us, so we don't look back and say, I wish I had done that, or I wish I'd learned to fly. If you want to look back 5 years from now and say, what's going to make the most difference to you? Spending another 10 hours a week at work or learning to fly? And a lot of times people will say, oh, definitely, I will not notice if I didn't spend another 10 hours a week at work. But, that's a great reason to learn to fly. Or if they really are too busy, ask them when would be a good time to get started. Maybe after the holidays or next semester when their course load is a little bit lighter, or when their kids start school or something like that, and get them signed up early to reserve their space. Time thing is ubiquitous. I mean, we all have trouble squeezing in everything we want to do in a day, but it's one of the best investments of time that you can possibly make to be able to learn to fly. Another objection is I'm nervous. I don't really like small planes, or I don't know if I would be able to think clearly, in a flight situation and that kind of thing. And if that's the case, you might want to suggest a trial period and say, let's try this for a month and see how you do, with no obligation, or whatever you can do. And you may need to work with your manager or your chief instructor, or whatever you need to do to find a program that's right, to see if they maybe once they get up there they will love it so much that they'll be fine. And the only way to find out is to try it. You also want to emphasize the school's safety record. If you've been in business for 30 years without an accident, that's something you definitely want to emphasize to that person. And you want to tell them that flying is much safer than driving. One thing that my flight instructor told me is the most dangerous part of your lesson is driving home in your car. That really helps put it in perspective for people, and sometimes when they think about it for a while, they realize that being nervous isn't rational, and they're able to overcome that. Now, some people can't overcome it, and that's good to know in the beginning. But you want to give them every possible chance to make sure that they have the chance to see if maybe it's something that they can overcome. Other objections will happen, and you'll have everything from one end of the spectrum to another, and there are so many that we can't cover them all in this program. But what you want to do is use what you know. You have to be a very smart person to have become a flight instructor, and you know a lot about aviation, you know a lot about airplanes. But what you can do is you can tell stories about yourself or about other students and say, here's how someone else solved that problem. And the more experienced you are, the more of those stories you will know that you can pass along and really help somebody get through whatever their objection is.